All right, first thing I want to talk about kickoffs. As the second man on kickoff, I know you don't do this, but I think in 2v2 it's really important. It just really puts you in a lot of better situations right off the bat on kickoff is cheating the kickoff. Going for boost in 2v2 on the kickoff is really risky because you have to come all the way out here, grab the boost, and then if your teammate loses the kickoff for whatever reason, now you have to scramble back and get back to the net. And then if you miss the boost, then you're really in trouble, which happens sometimes, sometimes you miss the boost. Then you have to scramble back and try to make a save after you've probably used some of your boost to get to that boost. Instead, what I want to think about is you start with 33 boost, and then all you have to do, you have 2 pads on the way to the ball. Once you get those 2 pads, you're going to be on 57 boost, and that's plenty to make a play. You're there, you're on their half of the field when you need to be, and then you're always going to have time to turn back and defend the goal as long as the ball doesn't just laser beam straight into your goal for whatever reason. Cheating the kickoff is actually very low risk, even though it kind of seems riskier. It's probably the least risky thing as long as your teammate doesn't just completely suck at kickoffs. And then even if your teammate does kind of suck, if they're a little bit inconsistent, times you get scored on is going to be more than made up for by the times that cheating the kickoff gives you a better position on offense. Anyways, I just want to show you a couple examples of cheating the kickoff because not everything is super obvious. And then also just to show that you really do have time to get back even if your teammate loses the kickoff and you cheat. So right off the bat, I missed that boost, obviously. But I just had plenty of time. Go back, another example. So you can see my teammate actually got demoed off that kickoff, but I'm right there. Like I'm there to make a play. I'm gonna go for the air dribble. I got beat to it, but I'm there. I'm putting pressure on the ball. I'm not just giving possession away to the other team. Even though they do win possession, they did have to fight for it, which puts them in a worse spot because he had to hit the ball away. It looks like he's going to pull some fancy aerial mechanics, but I did the most that I could to fight for possession of that ball rather than if I would have went back for boost, he would have just had space to set up whatever kind of fancy aerial mechanic play that he wanted to go for, instead of having to fight for possession and then having to make a play off of whatever kind of possession he gets. All right, so here's kind of a less obvious example of how to cheat kickoff. Me and my teammate are lined up on the same line rather than me being behind him. You want to kind of turn out and then back in order to position yourself behind him and still get boost. Basically, longer distance. If you turn out and then in, it's a longer distance. So naturally you maintain momentum. And of course, momentum is going to be a real key theme in this replay review. Just a heads up. So I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. So I'm going to turn out, grab that boost pad, and then turn back in, and then I'm there. Pretty much right behind him, follow that ball. And then, of course, other team beats me to it, but, I'm there, I can pressure, I can kind of give them a hard time. All right, here's one more that's a little bit less obvious of how to cheat. Obviously, both players are lined up on the same line. In 3v3, I would go for the big boost pad because the player in the center would cheat. But in 2v2, I think it's better for the second player that's not going for the kickoff to cheat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go forward, grab that pad, and then I grabbed 2 pads. I'm on 57 boost. I'm right in the center. My teammate's pushing forward to follow the ball. And then I'm going to be right there to play center as he makes an attack. And you can see this actually results in a goal because I'm right there. Well, yeah. So you can see just that pressure from cheating up immediately puts them on defense. And then they have to deal with the threat of 2 players rather than if I would have gone for boost, I wouldn't have even been there. All right, so like I said, on this kind of kickoff, just grab that first pad, come in this kind of line, grab this pad, that puts you on 57, and then you can either follow up or you could rotate out, either way, just depending what happens. And then as you're rotating out, there's pads to grab on the way back also. Really depends what happens. All right, so continuing on the topic of kickoffs, this replay only has 2 kickoffs. one now and one after they score. But you can see right away how cheating the kickoff would have given us a little bit more of an advantage in this replay. So you go for, I guess you just stay back, which honestly, it's, I have a hard time saying it's better than going for boost, but at least you're covering the net, although you're sitting in the middle of the net, which kind of forces you to have to decide if the ball is coming at you, you have to decide if you need to go left or right, whereas at least rotating to the back post, if you're going to do this, if you're going to stay back like that, or backing into the corner of the net is going to basically inform you that any shot that comes is going to be in front of you, and then you don't have to like make up your mind which way to go right away. But you could see by now, if you had cheated the kickoff, drawing tools out. So instead of cheating the kickoff, you kind of came forward a little bit and then backed up, then came out this way. But if you had cheated the kickoff, you would have basically, you'd grab this pad, that pad, and then you'd come out this way. All right, so if you had cheated the kickoff, you would have grabbed that pad, and you could have came out and grabbed this pad, which puts you at 69 boost, which is obviously the perfect number. You're coming up, and then you're basically going to be able to play second man. You could grab this boost potentially. Basically, you're going to come out to the side and hook back in, so you're facing the play, able to support and play the option. So basically, if I'm able to hit the ball out, you would be able to come in and score. Or if they come in, get a clear, then you would be able to rotate back around, either cut them off. This is getting a little busy, but you could also come back and play back post this way as I'm rotating back. So you can see right away why cheating up would have given us an advantage here. Instead of basically I have to make a solo play or just play a 1v2 kind of situation on offense. All right, so we'll talk about defense real quick. Since we're coming up on a defensive situation after that kickoff. So you drove back to back post, which is pretty much exactly what you want to do. The problem is, after you came back to back post, I'm still in the corner fighting over the ball, and basically, I don't know, I might have had a better option by rotating out, maybe. I'm not sure, to be honest. But either way, you push up to front post a little bit prematurely, because now if for whatever reason they get control of the ball, now you're going to have to scramble to recover and cover everything that's behind you. Instead, and the other thing that happens here is I take it up the wall, and then you start kind of pushing up the wall too, which if I'm going up the wall, we don't want to both be up the wall. So basically, instead of doing that, what I would do is you can come to back post, probably go a little bit wider so you're not in this awkward situation with this space behind you. Because if you're here and they make a shot on net, now you have to decide, I turn right or do I keep going forward, right? And then if you do turn right, if they shoot it on this part of the net, now you're going to have to make a save kind of backwards because you're turning into the net. So basically coming a little bit wider, you come back here instead. Now everything that they're going to put on target is going to be in front of you. And then what I would do is either just stop, which isn't exactly ideal because you want to maintain some momentum while you're going through. And the other option is, let's say you're here, you come through, just rotate back around, grab that pad real quick. Maybe even grab this pad if you have time. That gives you an extra 24 boost if you need it, which is never a bad thing. And then watch what happens here. Is basically I bring the ball up the wall, and unfortunately I was hoping to control it a little bit better off the wall, but unfortunately it rolled off that curve at the top of the wall, and then I was kind of forced into an awkward situation because I misread that. But now I'm in this situation where Kraken Jokes is coming up to take advantage of this situation and shoot off of my mistake. So I have to take a real awkward 50. Basically, I have to try to beat him to the ball and hit it away. And then, meanwhile, nobody's back covering the net. So I got really lucky that I was able to get that little touch and pop it off to the side. And then you can see what I did. It's exactly what I was talking about a second ago. Was all I did, I just came through, turned around, and then came back to back post until I was sure that we had possession and were starting a counterattack. All right, so here's a situation. Just kind of harping on defense again. This is more of a transitional situation where we're transitioning from offense into defense. Your positioning right here is not too bad. You're far enough back that you can play the option, and you're close enough that you can come in and follow up on any kind of attack if needed. But you see they hit it back. You start turning back, which is good. The problem is you're coming in to meet the ball and almost like you're trying to challenge it. The problem is that your teammate hasn't committed to going back yet. Your teammate's still kind of upfield. What you want to look for, and it looks like you realize this halfway through, like you're going to make that challenge. You might even be making a fake challenge. But you kind of realize like halfway through that you want to be going back. But what happens is now we're both awkward. Like basically you're at front post and I'm still rotating to back post. Whereas a more ideal situation would have been to go this way, just kind of come back. And when I'm talking about rotations or thinking about rotations, I like to think about which pads I'm going to grab on the way back. Just because that kind of kills two birds with one stone. It covers boost management and rotation. So rather than coming through and then doing this and then coming front post, the more ideal thing, and then this goes back to momentum. I mentioned earlier this is going to be a big theme in this replay review. The more ideal option would be boost there, okay. Boost there. Boost there. Now you're back post. And what you can do, because what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to be coming back. By the time you get to back post, I'll probably be right around here. And then I'm going to follow through to back post. And then you can push up to make the challenge. And this is where the momentum comes in. So by taking this path, you're carrying more momentum into the challenge, which gives you a better chance at winning the challenge and also gives you a better chance at following the ball once you make the challenge. So you can stay close to the ball as you start your counterattack and follow it downfield and create a very quick counterattack, basically. And then I would obviously come back through and support. All right, so I really like this attack here. You see that there's plenty of space to go for possession. You're able to follow it, create a very real threat on their goal, they end up double committing to try to cover your threat, and then gives me a really good chance to shoot, which unfortunately I miss. But the one thing I want to cover here is just the little bit of mechanical trouble. I'm going to come back to this later, but I just want to mention you would be able to recover because you actually have your flip here after landing on the wall. If you diagonal flip forward, you would be able to gain some momentum and then also recover wheels down and land with your car pointing in the direction you would want to go. So basically, later I'm going to talk about a drill to help improve your recoveries in that kind of way. Overall, it's not terrible. It's just it could have been a lot better. There's room to improve, basically. I'll back up a little bit here. So, right here, you come and grab this boost. That's fine. You needed boost. There's a better option would have been to take those small boost pads. But this is okay too, I think. The one thing that you want to watch out for is where your teammate is. So you can see on the side of the screen that I'm going back towards our net. And then watch what happens here. You turn around, and now you have no momentum. You come in, and right away you just dump 33 boosts to go make that challenge. Rather than maintaining your momentum. One thing about momentum is that by managing your momentum properly, you don't have to use as much boost throughout the game. You can keep your speed up without slowing down and speeding up and just dumping boost all the time. So I want to kind of cover this situation right here, what the better option is. So I'm going back this way, or actually going back like kind of this way. Really, I'm actually taking that center line, which is kind of a bad habit on my part. I should be going wider. But basically, the better option is to let your teammate who's in the center come through and carry their momentum into that challenge. And then you would just kind of rotate through. You could grab that big boost if you wanted to. Because I'm going to have 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 60 boosts right there. That's plenty. But yeah, basically you want to let the teammate who's going back from the center basically play from the inside to outside, use your momentum, let your teammate use their momentum to come through, and then they're going to be able to make a more effective challenge on that ball. And then meanwhile you're going to be back just covering the net. And basically as you come back, you're going to come this way, and then you could either go that way or you could come through this way. Just depends whether or not you're more comfortable playing from back post or from inside the net. In this case, if you do turn inside the net, you want to be here. One, it protects you from demos, and two, you're going to be able to cover across the net much more effectively, and also clear out. Rather than if you were here, now you have to decide if you're turning left or if you're turning right to make the save, and it just kind of adds a degree of hesitation that you don't really need there. So we did get lucky that they backed off and kind of gave you the space to make that challenge, but it does turn into them making a counterattack. One of the things you're going to want to do is just kind of read that ball a little bit better and just kind of keep pressure, stay closer, especially because you know your teammate is it's going to be mid, and this is a game sense thing. Like, pretty much you know your teammate's going to be mid, so you can just push that ball very aggressively. Like, how do you know your teammate's going to be mid? Is just because that's where they're supposed to be. If they're not mid, then that's their problem. And obviously, throughout the game, you're going to be paying attention to that kind of thing. Like, you're going to pay attention to, is my teammate mid when he's supposed to be? Is he not? And then there's also comms, and there's a 99% chance that I commed that I was mid or pushing up or something like that. So you're going to want to try to read that bounce a little bit more aggressively and try to get another touch on it to follow up. And then I believe there was a mistake here coming up. Again, your teammate's mid. Watch what happens. Now you turned almost like you're trying to make a challenge on it, but you know your teammate's mid. Now watch this from my perspective. So I'm mid. I'm coming in. I'm in a perfect position to just dive in and make that challenge. And he turned on it, and I had to stop, basically. Where instead, the more optimal thing would be to just let me come through and make that challenge. Just kind of, basically, I'm covering this area, forcing them to go this way. And then you would want to just kind of come through and just do a shadow defense and just come through behind them. So they're going to be forced to go out to the side a little bit more. You're just going to be right there, just kind of with them. And then obviously I'm going to be rotating back, and I'll end up going back post. But instead what happens is they just manage to blow right past us. I'm forced to make an awkward half flip. And fortunately, I do get that awkward touch and get it into our corner, which, again, another aspect of defense to keep in mind is just you want controlled touches into your corner unless the opposing team is giving you space to make a counterattack. But if you're trying to start a counterattack and the other team is giving you a lot of pressure, just controlled touches into your corner, because that's kind of like your safe spot. It's really hard for them to score from the corner, just because if you look at the angle, the goal is a lot smaller end to end this way than it is this way, right? So it's naturally a lot harder to score from the corner, just because it's a smaller angle. So basically, corner is the safe spot, and you want to try to put the ball to the corner whenever you're trying to buy yourself time to start a counterattack. Controlling to the corner helps, gives your teammate more time to reposition. Also just buys you time to position behind the ball. Here's another mistake coming up. So again, I think I mentioned before, play inside to outside when you're on defense. Think about where your teammate's at. For one, you can tell right away your teammate isn't in any of this area. So if you had to guess where your teammate is, it's probably in goal. It's probably back post. So you just want to let your teammate come in and get a controlled touch to this corner from the inside to the outside. But instead what happens, let's look at this from my perspective. I'm right here. Like I think I was actually driving out. Yeah, I was already coming out, and I saw you go for it, so I had to stop. And now I'm super awkward. Not only am I awkward, but you're also in my way. Yeah, and then they just get a free shot and a free goal, and there's just nothing we could do about that at that point. That's the thing, is like if your teammate has a better clear to the corner, your teammate's going to get a better touch. There's nothing wrong with just leaving it. Like, just drive right past it. And honestly, what I would do is just come right over top of the backboard. Just drive down, and then your back post. And then I would be coming out. And then that way, there's no chance you get in my way. You can kind of cover the high option. That's one thing. If one teammate's on the backboard and the other one's back post, let the teammate on the backboard cover any kind of shot that comes up here. And then the teammate who's back post can cover everything in the lower half. Well, let's see how your kickoff is here. There's a little bit of room for improvement on the kickoff. Basically, you actually side flipped there. You want to do a diagonal flip instead, which is a little bit tougher. It takes a little bit more accuracy on your thumbstick, but that way you're getting a little bit more forward momentum towards the ball that way. And then the other thing, diagonal flipping allows you to land a little bit earlier. The sooner you land, the more time you're going to have to aim your car at the ball. So his kickoff is actually terrible too. There's my moment of impact. Your impact is right here. His impact is all the way up here, which is why he's able to beat you on this kickoff. Because even though his kickoff is actually pretty terrible, he's able to beat you because his touch is closer to the center, and then it just kind of blows right past you. Most ideal thing is you really want to try to hit the ball right in the center, because then if he goes too high, then the ball is going to push out to the bottom. And then if he goes too low, then the ball is going to push out to the top. The more center you hit the ball, the more power you're putting through the ball. The less the ball is just going to bounce over top of you. So it just goes right past you. And he's able to follow it because of the way he flipped through it. And just as a comparison, we can look at my kickoff then. So you can see that's what a diagonal flip looks like. And then let's look at where I boost through this. So I boost a little bit, diagonal flip, and then as soon as I'm facing backwards, I stop boosting. Then I land, and then I start boosting as soon as I land. And then that gives me plenty of time to jump and just hit dead center on the ball. And then he actually beats me to the kickoff somehow. But it doesn't matter because you can see my impact is dead center. Oh, he actually missed completely. But yeah, look how my impact is dead center on that ball. It's right where the sparks are. Dead center. So if he would have, that's the same guy that you did your kickoff against. His kickoff is absolutely terrible. Just example of what not to do. Don't do that. As an example of cheating up, since you lose this kickoff, I'll show you have plenty of time to get back. So I actually demoed him, which, even though you lost the kickoff, I had plenty of time to cover that option. I went back, I demoed him, got the boost, and then started the counterattack. Alright, so after I get the demo, you come through, and again, back post. You came back post, but then you pushed through back post up to the front post prematurely. So instead of trying to come up and push up to the play, important aspect of playing second man is that you don't want to push the play until you know your teammate's coming back. Then you can push up to first man. But until your teammate's on their way back, you just want to play cautiously and just play the option. And what I would have done is rotate back through, wait to see what happens over here. And then if I win this challenge that's about to happen, then you can push up. If I don't win the challenge, then you can wait for me to rotate back, and then you can push in to make the challenge in the corner. So you push up, and then that just puts you in an awkward situation. So now you have to come back and make a defensive play while your teammate's still not recovered, Whereas if you had just rotated back again, you would have been in a perfect position to you were already back, and then you'd be able to actually make a challenge. So at that point, you can see where I was on your screen, on the left side of your screen. I was going back, so that would be the time that you'd want to come in and dive this corner and make the challenge. But instead, what happens is you actually cut near post and see where your teammate is. Your teammate actually got the demo, but yeah, it was kind of unfortunate. I think given the situation, diving front post might have been the best option. But you do want to try to, if at all possible, get a little bit more control and get it to bounce out into the corner rather than across the net. And you can see, look at my rotation right here. So I got the demo, and then not only did I get that demo, but then I was looking for the demo on Chaos as well. Unfortunately, I didn't get it, so I just go straight to back post while you come out and make the challenge, and then watch. Well, okay, I actually pushed up a little bit too far. I should have doubled back to back post again. But either way, I'm just kind of waiting. And this was actually my mistake. I did the same thing that you did a second ago. You do a good job of playing the option here. You're coming up. Your positioning's real good. You're close enough that you could follow through and create an attack if needed, if the opportunity is there. But also you can play the option and rotate back. So this was a much better example of using your momentum compared to the earlier example where you just kind of came to a complete stop to turn on the ball. So again, great job of playing second man on offense here. You just you're staying in position. You're keeping your spacing and covering the options. This was a little bit ambitious. After the ball is coming down, I guess you just want to read that a little bit better. That just takes practice, but you do want to try to read that better. I think once you realize that you misread it, like you're pointed too far out, the worst option is hesitating. So you do hesitate here, and then you kind of turn in towards it after he's already like beaten you by a mile. Better option, once you realize you've misread it, is just basically follow it out to the right. So if you were in a position to go up for it right away, even if you were gonna miss, if you went up for it right away, you would at least force him to get a really bad touch. But instead, once you realize you misread it at this point, you just want to come back through, grab that big boost right there, and then make your way back to goal. Then what happens? I can clear out the corner. We're able to start a counterattack. And you can kind of see that's a good example of how clearing out to the corner gives you a great opportunity for a counterattack. Gives your teammate time to reposition. All right, so I've been recording for an hour at this point. So I'm going to kind of breeze through the rest of the replay. I think I covered most of the main topics I want to cover on this replay. Talked about momentum. So far, I talked about defense inside to outside, paying attention to where your teammate is, rotating back post. Talked about clearing to the corner and staying back until your teammate's going back, or until you know like what's happening. Talked about cheating with kickoff. We talked about covering the option at second man. Talked about waiting for your teammate to go back when you're second man before coming into challenge. Talked a little bit about small pads. Mentioned real quick, small pads are severely underutilized. It's one of those things that there's always room to improve is boost pad collection. You really don't want to go out of your way for 100 boosts if small pads are going to suffice. If small pads are going to give you a better rotation, you don't want to sacrifice your rotation for the big boost. So even all the way up to the top, there's room for improvement. Like Squishy, one time was talking about in one of his replays how he could better utilize small pads. They add up quick. Like 3 pads, that's 36 boosts. That's more than enough to make most plays. And then if you can grab a 4th pad, now you're at 48. That's most of the time you can grab 4 pads without sacrificing your rotation. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of breeze through the rest of this replay and just kind of commentate as it's going. So I like how you're positioning here. I would have liked to see more of a back post line rather than going straight to front post. That would have allowed you to carry more momentum through here into this challenge, but it kind of works out anyway. Realized I had a drawing on the screen. Don't like that. just keep driving. Yeah, just keep driving back. If you don't have the touch, you can just kind of shadow the ball, drive back, drive next to it. That way, if they challenge, you can just kind of turn into the challenge and throw off their shot, which 99% of the time is just going to put it into the corner where you can follow it. So kind of awkward. It's kind of hard to go back post in that situation, but you did the best you could. He's beating you. So good job of not flipping through that challenge. If you flipped through it, your recovery would have been a lot slower. I like that challenge there. Again, back post. You turn towards the ball when honestly you just had plenty of time to go back post. Fortunately, I was there, and then fortunately you didn't get in my way, which by turning here, right, there's no threat on the ball. Cracking Jokes is in our corner. The other teammate you could see a second ago. The other teammate's all the way upfield. There's no threat on the ball here. Cracking Jokes is recovering, which means you just have plenty of time to just follow the ball all the way to back corner. And I'm there, so I can clear it. So you almost get in my way. So I'm following the ball up the wall. Good spacing there. You're not getting too close, but you're still there to support. That's kind of a mechanical area there. Just kind of flipping through that a little bit better. It's tough. I think you actually double jumped instead of dodged, which maybe your thumb slipped or whatever happens. So it's hard to fault you too much on mechanical errors because they happen. But just getting a little bit better control on your thumbstick, you can dodge through that and follow it better. You probably should have turned out at that point when that guy was about to touch it, but we got kind of lucky that he didn't. Good block there, but you stayed on it too long. So I really like this block there, but once that you get the block, you're kind of mid flip, which is fine. But then once you land, now you want to turn out because I'm midfield. I'm ready to push up. So see me there, and I think probably I hesitated. I probably would have got a much better touch on that. But I had to be careful because you weren't back yet. And honestly, I probably shouldn't have even gone until I saw you going back. But By not going back, it kind of handcuffs me into just like sitting in the middle, not really contributing. Whereas by rotating out, you give both players a chance to contribute the most amount as possible. So at this point, I don't really like that you went this far back. I think like it's kind of tough because I do have possession of the ball. You do want to be a little bit cautious, but I'm probably trying to give you the ball at this point. If you realize a little bit too late. Good rotating back. It wasn't really back post, but it kind of worked because I was there. I was back post. Check this challenge out real quick. So, yeah, the challenge or the shot attempt is fine because you can see what I'm doing. You can see I'm rotating out, or I'm committing to leaving, which is basically your green light to go once you see I'm going back. That would have been a really bad dive if your teammate wasn't going back, but by me going back, it kind of gives you that option to go for it. Let's see this here. So I get that touch over him. It seems like you waited a little bit too long to turn in towards the play, but still fine. Little bit of a nitpick there. Yeah, I would have liked to see kind of awkward, but you can see I'm in front of the ball. You just want to kind of make a beeline towards the back post, just across this way, rather than you're playing behind the ball by going this way. And basically you're just kind of like trying to catch up to the ball rather than positioning yourself ahead of it by going back post. So yeah, I would have liked to see a beeline back post rather than this. And it kind of works out. I was able to control the ball well enough. And then just mechanical mistake. That's just going to take practice of going for aerial shots. You jumped way too early as part of it, which makes it really hard to read. It's a lot easier to read if you wait for it to bounce off the ground and then try to time your jump at the same time as it bounces. But yeah, a little bit more control there. The other thing I was going to say is that nobody's there. You have plenty of time. Just look how long it takes them to get to this ball. So a little bit of like time management. Like you were shooting right here at 18 seconds. It took them another 2 seconds. Like right there. It took them 2 seconds after your shot to actually get to the goal. Which in game time, 2 seconds is a lot. That's a lot of time. You could have waited for it to bounce and then fall back down and bounce again and then take the shot. So there's kind of awareness like that kind of awareness, understanding when you have time and when you don't. It's another thing that takes time and just kind of experience in game, but that's kind of one of the things you want to think about is like, okay, how much time do I have to make this shot? And then how can I use as much of that time as possible to make sure that it goes in rather than trying to rush it and then missing. And, again, I like the pressure. Really just kind of staying on it. And then I like that you left it there after you went on the wall. Just kind of turned back and let me come in for the challenge. Yeah, again, back post, even though, I guess it's 0 seconds, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, if there was time left in this game, you would want to go back post. Even then, like going more towards the net would have given us a better chance of making something out of this, rather than just kind of towards the player, going towards where I already am. Overall, it wasn't a terrible game. Definitely lots of room for improvement. I want to show you real quick a drill to improve your mechanics. Or not your mechanics, improve your recoveries, your recovery mechanics. So I have power slide and arrow left, both on left bumper. So if I hit left bumper, I power slide, but if I'm in the air, you know, then it does air roll. So basically, the only downside of that is if you're landing, then you try to press power slide before you actually land, and you end up messing up. So you end up having to time it so that you like just a split second before you land, in order to land without getting that messed up by air roll. So basically, this drill to improve your recovery mechanics, just spend 5 minutes driving around. And what you want to do is kind of like throw, like jump, turn, whatever kind of mess up you want, and then just kind of, that was like the situation you were in earlier. When you landed on the wall, then you could have, so something like this. So you just kind of practice that. That's the recovery that I was talking about that you could have got. But yeah, go up on the wall, jump, land backwards, do a half flip, which if you don't know how to do half flips, practice half flips. They're super useful in recoveries. A lot of the times, if I land awkwardly, I'll land and then do a half flip. I'll drive backwards and then do a half flip. Practice landing with power slide. Just kind of play around with that. Basically, drive around, jump off the wall, practice landing with your nose pointed wherever you want to go. Then practice landing with your nose pointed the wrong way, so you can get going the right way as best as possible. Try to maintain your momentum through everything. And then try to recover momentum quickly. Basically just kind of drive around real fast, jump around, do weird stuff, and then try to recover. Kind of like that. Just, yeah. Anyway, I hope you got something out of this. To recap, the main focus is I want you to cheat every kickoff. It doesn't matter what the lineup is. In 2v2, just cheat the kickoff every time. You're going to be in better situations. The only time you don't want to cheat your kickoff is if your teammate's really bad at kickoffs, which at your rank is at Diamond 1, solo queue is kind of hit or miss. You're going to get teammates that are really unreliable on kickoff, but if you're queuing with somebody, you're a much better chance that they're not going to suck at kickoffs like that, so you can just cheat every kickoff. Defense, think inside to outside. Pay attention to whether or not your teammate is back post or in your net, because then you're going to be able to let them make the clear. Rotate back post a little bit more often. Clear to the corners to control rather than clearing out to center for your opponents. You do a pretty good job of covering the option as second man on offense. Wait for your teammate to go back before committing when you are second man. when you're first man, rotate out a little bit earlier. Don't be afraid to just leave if you don't have a good touch or anything useful that you're going to be able to do, because for whatever reason you might be in an awkward situation. Just rotate out if your teammate's there. Spend 5 minutes every day or whenever, 5 minutes at a time, just kind of jumping around in free play, practicing recoveries. And the last thing is just momentum. Just really think about how managing your momentum can improve your situations that you have in game. It's going to allow you to improve your boost control or boost management by not eating up a bunch of your boost. If you maintain momentum, you're going to be able to jump into challenges a lot quicker. You're going to be able to move around the field a lot faster, and you're going to be able to follow balls a little bit better. You're going to be able to ball chase better. So yeah, those are the main things. And yeah, let me know what you think.